Good evening and welcome to the rest of the news. We have an unbelievable program. You know, Ed, I woke up this morning and I was thinking, what are we going to put on our program? And then all of this caved in on me. And the thing that bothers me the most is this, that Obama gave away our internet.
Yeah, this has more implications for the long run from future generations than anything that's happened during his administration. And it's a serious thing. It's actually turning control of internet and the freedom of speech. That's a constitutional right of the Americans, and turning that over to an international body. And in the internet that will be controlled by the United Nations, the person in charge of that is a communist Chinese, and they have literally stopped their people in China from having any information from the outside world. And the same thing can happen here once we lose control of the internet. And they're only the long range, and I won't get into that. The long range is possibly that the innovative, creative nature of America is that maybe somebody will come up with an alternative to the internet. But until that happens, and if it happens, and they may have control of that to where they couldn't have it happen, you're going to have a complete blockout of everything, and at the same time, they will use that to interject their plans for the world. And this all goes back to that concept of the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, the Marxist Party, whichever one you want to call it, to have country in a one world order.
Yeah. I can't believe that Obama did that.
Well, there's a thousand things, and this is the problem. We're coming up on the election.
Yes.
And the things that have gone on in the background, and some of this WikiLeaks, they're coming out with some of the things that were in those, the documents that are being shown, points out. But I'm old enough, and I go back to where I knew the Clintons when they were in Arkansas.
Yeah.
When I was on the National Legislative Conference, and he was governor, and Hillary was that, and she was with the Rose Law Firm in Little Rock.
I remember.
And very few people know what went on with the Rose Law Firm, and she and two other people were able to control a lot of things. Nobody remembers the scandal over the land deal, the Whitewater, the cattle futures, all of those things.
Yes.
And it goes back to the basic things about when both of them were at Yale, they were intimidated by the fact that they were from a poor class of people.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the intellectual snobs that were in Yale looking down on them, they became obsessed with power and money. And that's been their motivation ever since. So if you look at all of the actions that have been taking place from that point when they moved to Arkansas, because they saw an opportunity there to move into the political arena as Attorney General and Governor, and using that as the forum to launch themselves into the presidential election. It's a messy thing. And now if you look around, and all of it is gauged on what I call total power. And power and control and money has been the motivation of everything. And the fact that the United States of America, being the democracy that it is, a republic, has to be destroyed if we're ever going to build a new world utopia. And this is their motivation. That's their long-range goal, and they're very patient, and they've been at it for a long time. But combined with a Marxist like Obama, who has for the last 8 years, has practically ignored the Constitution, has overridden it in a dozen different ways, and the members of Congress who have sat there wringing their hands and doing absolutely nothing to stop some of the things that have been happening. So if you look at what's been going on for 8 years, and then you project it into this election, and Dr. Simon, it's not a question of Republican or Democrat anymore. It's a question of survival of the United States.
Exactly.
And the future of our younger generations. And what we've got is a thing that bothers me is the attitude of the American public. I look at that, And they said, I don't like either one of them. I'm not going to vote.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's deadly.
Even the evangelists who traditionally take an interest in that, 40% are saying, I'm not going to vote for either one.
Unbelievable.
And all of these areas where we traditionally have been able to succeed, our people are not taking an active role. The other side is all the radical groups and others are getting out the vote.
Yeah.
And I look at what we call now the millennia,
yeah.
and they were young. They don't know about some of these things that have gone on in the past, and they don't know the things that have brought that up there.
Right. And all the scandals that happened.
All the scandals in that, the travel gate, they called it.
Yeah.
And they get control of that. And now, when they've lined themselves up, her chief aide is a Muslim. Her family is actively involved in the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the one that's the most radical form of and financing in the background of all of these terrorist organizations.
Yeah.
And we can go on and on and on listing those for the next 3 hours. That everything boils down to you as an individual has to take the responsibility. And we look at this thing at the percentages, and the people that won't bother to vote will turn this thing into a disaster.
Exactly.
With getting elected, and that mindset comes into play.
Well, Ed, now you have been a state representative for a number of years, right. And so you're on the inside of a lot of these things that are happening. It was a combination of that. I spent 17 years actively involved as a legislator. Then I was also on the board of directors of the National Association of Manufacturers, and I was chairman. Yeah, I remember that. I was chairman of the Industrial Council, the National Industrial Council. I testified before Congress on behalf of that against some of these regulations which have strangled the manufacturing community, forced them into having, and I've talked to numbers of them individually that told me that the last thing they wanted to do was move to Mexico, but in order to survive and to be competitive in the global market. And at the same time, they were being cut to ribbons here. If you wanted to expand a factory, increase it and create jobs, you had to have an environmental impact statement. Oh, brother. That would take you as long as 8 years to get the final decision. And if you were looking at a situation where your company was based on we have to make a decision fairly soon or we'll go out of business, 8 years was an astronomical number. Well, look what they've done to the coal industry. They've practically shut it down. This is another thing. When you get into global warming, any one of those things, and they've used emotional ideology into all of these things. It's always terrible. The world's coming to an end. And if you go back to some of the original statements, that right now, based on that, half the United States would be underwater. Right. None of the stuff they predicted has come true. Not a single thing has come to pass. And I'm a somewhat of a buff when it comes to not only history, but archaeology and geology. And I've been on some archaeological digs and other things, and you look at the evolution of of the world and how it's gone through constant change since the beginning of time. Yeah. When the Sahara Desert was once a great prairie with animals all over and no longer there, and you go on to follow civilizations that used to exist in certain areas that no longer exist there because of climate change. Yeah. Not because of man, but because of nature in itself. And there are things like 1,000-year cycle on some of the currents that are involved. So we don't want to get into all of those things. Yeah. But at the same time, it's imperative that every American take a responsibility and ignore some of the propaganda. Yeah, that's exactly right. And they've engaged in what I call character assassination for so long that people, I don't like either one of them. No, that. Well, now, here's something I got this morning from Judicial Watch. It says Hillary and her top aides and senior officials at the State Department were responsible for creating illicit or illegal, unsecured private email system that Hillary used to conduct sensitive official government business. And that, in other words, the different foreign nations would give money to Hillary or the Clinton Foundation, and then she'd give them the rights to uranium or something. national firestorm with discovery of the smoking gun from Clinton emails. They've come up with a lot of these emails and found out that she was lying about saying, oh, I've already destroyed all of them, or I've given them away, or something,
And a classic example of that is the lies and things that were perpetrated in the aftermath of Benghazi.
Yeah.
And the death of the Americans and the lack of any support of anything else. But while we're on that point, her campaign chairman,
I saw
John
that.
Podesta, was on the board of a small energy company that they set alongside the Russian officials and created a $35 million Putin-connected Russian government fund. And the relationship of Podesta, that he failed to report all that on his federal disclosure financials. $35 million. So his deals with Russia, Hillary's deals with not only that, but a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
That the monies have been channeled to the Clinton Foundation.
Yes.
To her speeches at hundreds of thousands of dollars for making a 30-minute speech. All of those things.
Yeah, for a 30-minute speech.
Of building these things, and at the same time, these are the same people behind the scenes that are making these large contributions to candidates for Congress and the Senate. And in that process, they control the ultimate vote that person casts, because if you want to get reelected again, you're going to need my contributions and all that.
Yeah.
So the very people that we are opposed to and the kind of things we are opposed to are the funds that are financing the election. So it's imperative that every member of the American population that has the right to vote do so.
Right. Now, here's another paragraph. A new federal court order instructing the State Department to review and produce for a judicial watch up to 14,900 more Hillary Clinton emails discovered by the FBI during the investigation of the illicit Clinton email system. And the State Department just admitted that it has found Benghazi-related documents among them.
And this is exactly what's happening. But, as you just pointed out, they have filed suit. They ultimately will get that information.
Yeah.
But it will be after the November election. That's what they're shooting. They're blocking every bit of information that would bring to the public things they needed to know in order to vote. And then this thing, again, going back to what I'm concerned about, is the large percentage of people that, good Christians and others that feel, I couldn't vote for either
I know, I can't believe that.
That is the most disastrous thing. It's not a question of the
which one is
personality
perfect.
or anything
Yeah.
else. It's a question of survival, and it has nothing to
That's
do
right.
with the individual.
Right. Now, while you're talking about that, we have our sample ballots ready to go. This is the one for Jefferson County, and this is the one for the rest of the state, which includes Bullitt County and all the rest of the counties. And it says here, where do the parties and candidates stand? And of course, abortion, the Clinton is pro-abortion. And the Democrat Party in general is pro-abortion. Increasing the federal income tax from the Democrats and Hillary are both trying to increase the taxes. And the Second Amendment, the Democrats and Hillary are trying to take the guns away from everybody. So you have no defense. And then the whole idea of the military, peace through strength. The Democrats are against a strong military, and Hillary's against a strong military. And then all of this illegal aliens, Clinton wants them all voting.
Right.
Planned Parenthood, of course, Hillary's for Planned Parenthood, which is so wants to double the money that you and I are giving them, and First Amendment and all of that. So, if you would like a copy of this sample ballot for Jefferson County or for Bullitt County, you have to specify which one and call us right now, 893-2444. That's 893-2444. 444, and we'll get these out to you right away. And if you want, we'll give you enough for your whole church and everything. But it's very important. And we also have a video of Hillary giving her position on abortion and Planned Parenthood. And the part I like the most, he says, you religious people are just going to have to change.
Right. Well, this is the thing that concerns me more than anything else. I've just finished a book by a Secret Service agent who spent time in the White House all during the Clinton administration and his personal contacts with Hillary, and the fact that she hates anyone in uniform, including the military, the police, and others. And that's a critical thing. I also happen to be a member of the American Legion, and the publications I'm getting for them are critical about what's happened to the military and what continues to happen. And we are now facing situations where Air Force cannot put half their planes in the air if they were needed. They've neglected the parts and everything else. So while we had a number of aircraft, it's not the same thing with ships and others. We're at the lowest level militarily that we've ever been since before World War I.
And now's the time we need all of that.
And at this point, if we had to defend ourselves, particularly in a two-area battle, that we would be impossible to do it. And we don't have the time to train hundreds of men and thousands of men and to build aircraft and all that like we once had at an earlier time.
Well, I think that this sample ballot is extremely important, and it tells you the difference between the two parties and also the difference between Clinton and Trump, and also all of the races for state representatives, state senators, judges, school board. They're all on here. So call us, and we'll get you the DVD, too, of Hillary in person. Now, people say, well, I don't believe she said that.
Well, this is the critical part of it. And the thing that you need to watch more than anything else, there'll be this organization called ICANN. ICANN. And that's the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. And ICANN will be that. The Congress passed that bill, which was the bill to keep government functioning for the next several months. And in that was buried this thing with the Internet. And that was on last week. On Monday, the following Monday, is when Obama announced the change in putting the Internet into the hands of the United Nations.
Well, I tell you, now the number to call to get your voter guide and the DVD of Hillary giving her position that she's pro-abortion, pro-Planned Parenthood, and she wants people that believe in life, the life position. She said, you're just going to have to change. Exactly. So the number to call is 893-2444, and you can call that number right now. If no one is there, there'll be an answering machine. You can leave your name and address, and we'll send it out to you right away. 893-2444.
We could go on for hours, but I love the thing. But the thing that the open borders and illegal aliens, that they've been moving them into citizenship in such numbers that they're wanting them to infect and be able to vote.
Be able to vote, yeah, even though they're illegal aliens.
Right, and make no mistake, socialism is the end game.
Yeah.
And this is where everything is heading, and if not enough that conservatives stand up and stop the left, but America will be plunged into socialism if we get through this. So if you're a Christian, if you're a concerned citizen, I don't care whether you've been a Republican all your life or a Democrat all your life, this is a critical part in America's history.
Now, Ed, let me just say this quickly. This is a booklet that I got in the mail today from Catholic Vote, and it says, Our Government's War on America's Catholics. Okay, and they're saying that the government is trying to take away our freedom of religion. Exactly. If you believe in life, if you basically believe in God, they're out to get you.
Exactly.
And here's one thing I got out of that. What's your opinion of the fact that Hillary Clinton says she wants to use the full force of government to change the beliefs of Christians to conform with support for same-sex marriage and abortion on demand? Now that's at least the abortion part is in this video that we want to send to you today. 893-2444. Give us a call right now.
This is another example of that. And if anything else, I want you to remember what Ronald Reagan said. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape.
That's right.
This is the last stand on earth. And I can't emphasize it any more than the way he had phrased it and said it. And it's all right there.
I got one other thing I'd like to squeeze in here if I could. This is from Albert Gilroy, and he is a black man who is a state senator in Louisiana, and he's now running for U.S. Congress. And he wrote this little book, and it's titled The Little Book of Liberal Lies, exposing 3 lies that the left uses to enslave black Americans to the Democrat Plantation Party.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
And he's not the only one. There's a number of black leaders now that are coming forward and saying, look, what we've had under Obama, supposedly the black man that was going to help and change everything else, is actually worse, and they want to keep us there. The thing with the black community, the Democratic Party have controlled that for 150 years.
Yeah.
And this is not the thing that freed the slaves or anything else. That was the Republican Party. And Abraham Lincoln and the rest of them.
Yes, absolutely. Now, here's another thing he says. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican.
Exactly.
And, boy, Democrats don't want that out, do they?
They don't.
And he says that right in here. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. And
because he knew that the Republicans and all the aftermath of that, it was the Democrats then that changed it, that formed the Ku Klux Klan, and did all of the things to keep them down and keep them under their thumb. And this is what they've used them as a block vote. And this is a critical part. And again, we get back to the election. The number of people who will decide not to vote.
Yeah, they'll open the door for all that.
That will make it a unanimous vote for the Democratic Party and the socialist agenda. That if you think that our last 8 years and the breakdown of everything of our Constitution, all that under Obama, is just the beginning of what the next election could turn and destroy America completely.
Exactly. Well, I tell you, this little book, I wish I had more. I would give them away, too. I'm going to try to get more. Now, here, of course, Margaret Sanger is the one that tried to do away with the, was against black people in general.
She was going to use abortion to eliminate the black race.
That's right. And Hillary says that she is backing Margaret Sanger's agenda.
Right. So this is a continuation of the same things that have been going on, but the media and everybody else has used that. The situation with this thing about the comments that were supposedly made by Trump about women.
Yeah.
The NBC has set on that. They've known it. They've since October, and they only released it. They wanted to influence. They wanted to influence the outcome of the debate and the election. So they withheld that information until that
critical time
and to make it intended.
We were talking about that the other day. I said if somebody went back and looked at everything I've said over the last 10 or 20 years, it probably would be worse than that.
Right, and they take it out of context and everything else. It's imperative that you vote if you, in any way physically possible, injuries or anything else, to get yourself to the poll on election day. It's that important.
Absolutely. And don't worry about somebody being not perfect. Nobody's perfect. So just hold your nose and go and vote for the best that you can find.
Exactly. And it's as simple as that.
Because otherwise we are dead in the water. Well, I guess we're about out of time, but call us right now at 893-2444, and we'll send you the sample ballot, and we'll send you the DVD, and you can see Hillary saying in her own words that she's pro-abortion, she's pro-Planned Parenthood, and she wants everybody else to just get used to it, change their mind.
Exactly.
So you need to see this for yourself. So give us a call again right now, 893-2444. Well, I guess we're out of time. Thanks for watching, and tune in again next week for the rest of the news.
The gospel to all nations through the Lamb. That is the vision. But how do you tell the world there is only one God? There is only one way to God. You've got to speak to the heart. And that is exactly what the Lamb does. Through such a simple parable, it clearly communicates God's heart for people. And it will change the eternal destiny of millions of people around the world. The Lamb will be broadcasted worldwide via live satellite feed from Israel. The initial broadcast will be in English and some mainstream translations, including Hebrew, and thereafter to every nation and every tongue. We are trusting God for this. Millions of believers in every nation on earth that will pray for the Lamb, that will support the translations, and most importantly, they will facilitate the showing of the Lamb everywhere. In prisons, in churches, in homes, in stadiums, in schools, in hospitals, orphanages, in rural areas, in city squares, at open-air events, everywhere. In every city, in every town, and in every village. All over the world, as the Lord gives us favor. So the question is, how do we do this? We are pre-selling movie tickets to the Lamb through the internet. A movie ticket is only $10 and is good for one viewing at a theater, unlimited viewings on the internet, a digital copy of the Lamb movie, and a free ebook download of the Lamb novel. To promote this campaign, we've built an internet software program through which tickets will be sold. It's easy to buy tickets, to transfer tickets, and to promote the Lamb to family and friends. The idea for this approach was inspired by the Lord through John 21 verse 6, where Jesus said, "Throw your nets on the right side of the boat and you will catch some." And when they did, they were unable to haul the nets in because of the large number of fish. This campaign is our net, and together we're casting it worldwide. And then we simply trust the Lord to bless the work, and through it the nations of the world will be blessed.